Hi everybody. Hi everybody, it's your friend Daniel Hutchins. We're back again here on Comic Book Resources. So what are we doing on Comic Book Resources? Well, that's a good question because today we're going back on Comic Book Resources and we're going to be talking about the subject of Smallville. Yes, we already talked about Smallville already, about what the holdup was in the animation series, but now we got more Smallville news. You want to know more about Smallville? I got some Smallville news to tell you. And no, we're not talking about the football team, Smallville Crows, either. We're talking about Smallville, the series. The creators of Smallville have one major regret about their series. And they are right. Yesterday, hot off the truck, back in 2001, which was a simple time back then, CW Smallville chronicled the adventures of young Clark Kent, played by the great Tom Welling. Okay. So, also, he had his girlfriend, Lana Lang, who's played by the sexy, most confident, most beautiful girl that you can ever have, Kirsten Creek. Kristen Creek, or whatever her name is. Okay. Following the success after Netflix Wednesday, they go back and look on Smallville. Proud of what they said after it premiered after 9/11. It's like, oh yeah, it's comfort. It's a comfort for American soul. 20 years later, and this all came together. Recent interviews again with what would you have done different in Smallville? Well, not a lot, but again, if you're around in 2001, like me, you would already know that. Lana could have been a much stronger character. Well, she could have been, doesn't mean she would have been. Could have been, would have been is totally different thing. But in an interview with Hollywood Reporter, otherwise known dubbed as THR, the creators of Smallville have one major regret. Over 20 years later, Smallville remains a triumph, the most powerful CW show that always kicked it off. The character of Lana. How they could have handled her differently. Smallville was a network television series with 22 episode long seasons. Well, also all seasons had 22 episodes. They also mentioned a different time, again it was back in 2001, hoping they made only at least 5 seasons. But they went 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. Again, they say Lana could have been a better character. The Clark and Lana have played out way too long. Kirsten Crick herself said her love with Clark Kent in Smallville is apparent as a one-off again, off again romance and lasted most of the show. Lana is just that girl that lives next to the Kent family farm, making her the perfect choice for the girl next door. Now again, meteor-infected metahuman was obsessed with her, and no other girl can compete to her and to Clark's eyes. Again, frequently gone in between them and kept them apart. The secret identity has kept them apart. We know that because he's frickin' Superman, dumbass. Okay, they didn't want to just say he's Superman. They want to build up and say he's Superman. Lana runs in the coffee shop in the early years and says, oh, I am interested in meteors and aliens, and the show then goes and goes and goes. And then Metropolis, and then studies astronomy at university. She said, oh yeah, I've experienced some ups and downs, but in the end, she opens up a foundation, a network of friends to help the meteor-infected vigilante crime fighter. We know, Superman. Which at that time, he was just called the Blur, until he was first called the Blur, and then he was later called Superman. But although Lana ended her time in Smallville as a strong woman, she frequently was the one who's always the damsel in distress. Just like, you know, how Daphne's always the damsel of distress in Scooby-Doo, Lana Lang is the damsel of distress in Smallville. You see the connection, see the connection. Relationship felt too repetitive and tired after season 3. So after season 3, it just kind of stretched out too long. Clark and Lana's romance had stretched out too long. Well, that's all just opinion, bro. Clark and Lana's romance spanned about 8 seasons of Smallville as the pair struggles to come together. But over the first couple seasons, they really got to know each other. And Clark lost his powers in season 5 when he had a happy relationship, and then his powers returned when he was talking to his dad, Jor-El. You know, Jor-El, the Krypton dad. Again, divides between them the secret identity. Lana then goes on to marry Lex Luthor and eventually learns Clark's secret. Clark and Lana, they're together for most of season 7. Even though Kirsten Crick had left the show, the relationship came to an abrupt end. Crick had then returned for a brief stint in season 8, providing proper closure to her and Clark's romance. I think there were some things I want to go back and change, and we probably would have had more adventures like that with some relationships and bring certain heads and let them play out. Yeah. But then looking at Smallville, you look at the creator like Alfred Go, he says he admits Clark and Lana's relationship got really repetitive. He goes on to say, I think there are things that if I went back in 2001 and I would have tweaked a couple things, I would have been a little more adventurous in some of those parts. And certain heads in them turned out like most viewers agree the relationship went on too long. And 8 seasons, bro. Some fans lose interest of the couple after season 5. The trouble of getting them together and breaking them up so many times just to get married after Lex Luthor just to find out Clark is Superman sounds kind of stupid. Go and Miller then again point to being a different time for a main reason. Again, expectation in the showrunner was definitely ahead of its time. 2001, ahead of its time. Smallville's ahead of its time. Definitely cautious and very cautious in the fact we only wanted to have 5 seasons, but we ended up with 10. I'm like, okay, we split them apart, what are we going to do? Believed to be the kiss of death to get you the main character to die off sooner. Losing the show's romantic tension. And then that's why the last 5 seasons suck, while the first 5 seasons were good. And then it's like, oh, writers would just do anything to write them off. And then basically some examples include One Tree Hill and Veronica Mars, just like, what the fuck? And then Lana was mostly used as a plot device. Lana Lang is not a very consistent character. She's far from consistent. She started off fairly as a one-note typical girl next door character in the early seasons, season 1 to 5. But then in seasons 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, she was hardly even freaking there. So it's like, oh, yeah, remember her? Yeah, she's not there no more. Lana continuously fell victim to media or infected people, either because she's obsessed with or jealous of people, and then storylines revolved around her love life, constantly defined by whomever she's dating. Miller reflects her character saying, I think Lana just needs agency, not there. She could have been a stronger character, but she felt like in position she's weak. In a different era, a different time, back in 2001, what the fuck were you supposed to do? You're Kristen Creek. You're frickin' Lana Lang. What are you gonna do? So that's something I come back and to go again and but I definitely look at doing it better. Oh yeah, a little too late now. I think Lana, her agency's not there. She could have been a much stronger character. She always felt like her put positions of weakness in a different era and a different time. Well yeah, 2001, bro. 2001. So then again, something as we say could have been done differently to look at it do better. Little too late, bro. Little too late. Again, inconsistency within Lana's character made it difficult for viewers to connect to her, making her one of the fans' least favorite characters. Personality seems to change after season 5. So after season 5, I'm like, oh, do we even care about her anymore? No. Her motivation never owned her. She's a cheerleader. Her mother was. She opened a coffee shop. She saved a building. her parents met, blah, 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 blah. We don't fucking care. First thing she does is herself comes out of nowhere, moves to Paris, studies art, had an ancestor who happens to be a witch who possessed her, and then again, her actions dictated her circumstance rather than being in her own story. In the later season of Smallville, seasons 6 through 10, Lana then becomes a completely different person. She then marries Lex Luthor in season 6, which took her on a dark turn, only to be learning that she had more hatred to the Luthor family. Lana then becomes manipulative and duplicitous, also ending the season with trying to frame Lex Luthor for her murder. She also said returns in season 7 and kidnaps Lionel Luthor, who's the father of Lex Luthor, keeping him in a secret cabin in Misery style, just like Stephen King. Stephen freaking King. Misery style, secret cabin shit. And then accidentally, Clark's powers go out from a lightning strike. Then further later, she gets more on her shady agenda and tries to kill Lex Luthor. Lana Lang finally sees redemption and closure after she returns in season 8, realizing she wants to finally drive her own story. And then we go to Wednesday. Wednesday, the show Wednesday. She did things right. Now, unlike everything like 2022 series Wednesday, she went to Nevermore Academy. And she basically found herself a supernatural mystery where she struggles to find her new psychic abilities. She plots out her sleuthing skills to find out the beast that's been killing her has plagued the town of Jericho. And no, we're not talking about Jericho, the Battle of Jericho. It's just the name of the town, bro. Again, Miller Discusses series also commented Wednesday is a celebration of shows unlike anything that's been proud before it. I think we're too differently inspired to write or find a teenage girl character that's so rare, who's confident, literate, smart, weird, and unapologetic on all those levels. Wednesday Addams, played by the famous, beautiful Jenna Ortega, is a quirky, dorky, dark, but also very positive force in Netflix series. This is why she's getting a second season. Also, her titular character is a strong role model for all of young women and teenagers and young adults, mostly. But gratifying to that remark, this is why she's a confident character. And that's the connection. That is why the only regret you have about Smallville is because of Lana. Lana could have been a stronger character. Yes, Lana could have been a stronger character, but she was not. So, again, little too late, little too late, little too late. So, Lana Lang could have been a better character. She could have been written better. She could have been used better. But, again, she went dark. After season 5, she went dark and married Lex Luthor, and then realized then she had to kill Lex Luthor, and then tried falling in love again with Clark, but then Clark's like, no way, you married Luthor, I don't want no part of you no mo. I'm like, yo, that's stupid. But anyway, that's the Smallville comparison. So I hope you guys enjoy that little revisit back to 2001, and I'll see you later.